Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Samach Beis of Masechta Shabbos. Again, it's one of those pages that are a little bit hard to kind of like give a proper overview. There's going to be a bunch of Agadata for basically like the second part of the page. It's going to be a bunch of Agadata. The first part of the page, we have a new Mishnah, also about, Hatzah, Otzah with the rings and things like that. So, I think the best thing is for us to just get started. So let's do that. So I'm on Daf Samach Beis Amud Aleph at the Mishnah. What's it about? 10 lines in. Lo seitze isha b'machat ankuva. So a woman should not go out to Rosh Hashanah with a needle that has a hole in it that would be like, to put a thread in there. She shouldn't go out with a ring that has a seal on it. Not with a koliar. We'll explain in the Gemara what that is. We'll also explain what that is. And not with a flask of balsam oil that was like hanging from her neck on a necklace kind of thing. Rav Meir says that if she would go out to Rosh Hashanah with any of these things, she would be chayav korban chatas. The Chachamim disagree with Rabbi Meir when it comes to this kovelis, which we will explain what it is, as well as this flask of balsam oil. In those cases, the Chachamim would say that it's pater aval aser. Amar Ula, says the Gemara, that Ula says v'chilufein beish. Now the opposite is true when it comes to men. So regarding the ring, if a woman is allowed to go out to Rosh Hashanah with a ring that does not have a seal on it, and she's not allowed to. Wait, no. What did we actually say in our Mishnah about women going out with rings? We said v'lo b'tabas she'ein alei achosam, right? Because she might take it off to show people, but she would be pater nonetheless, right? So a woman wearing a ring without a seal on it would be pater aval aser. But if she goes out with a ring with a seal on it, so then she's chayav as korban chatas. And we say, and the opposite is true when it comes to man. That if he goes out with a ring with a seal on it, it's pater aval aser. But if he goes with a ring without a seal on it, right, it's like a regular ring, so then he would be chayav chatas. So the inverse is true for men and women. Fine. So the Gemara wants to say, well, Ula is basically saying that anything that would be considered fit for a woman would not be considered fit for a man. And anything that would be considered fit for a man would not be considered fit for a woman. Now, Masav Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asks a question. Haroim yotzim besaken. So, shepherds are allowed to go out on Shabbos with ponchos, with some kind of, some kind of sack or sackcloth, something that they would wear to protect them from rain. And check this out. Now, it's not only the shepherds that are allowed to wear these ponchos. Anybody can actually go out with a poncho. It's just that it's the way of shepherds to generally go out with a poncho. People don't necessarily always go out with a poncho. But since shepherds can go out with a poncho, so anybody can go out with a poncho. So now, why would we treat the relationship between men and women any differently? Meaning, I would therefore think that just like since a shepherd can wear a poncho, therefore anybody can wear a poncho, well, just like a woman can go out with a regular old ring, so men should also be able to go out with regular rings, and just like men are able to go out with rings with a seal on them, well, at least it would be pater, well, then women should be able to do that as well. So Amar Rav Yosef, Ella Amar Rav Yosef, so rather Rav Yosef said, Kasavar Ula Nashim Am B'fnei Atzman Hein. So Rav Yosef said that Ula's sort of perspective, Ula's opinion is that, or what he holds is that women are considered their own nation. And what this means is that basically, men and women are considered like apples and oranges. You can't necessarily just apply the halachos of one to the other. And therefore, even though when it comes to, let's say, a shepherd, we say, well, since a shepherd can wear a poncho, anybody can wear a poncho, we wouldn't necessarily equally apply just whatever men can do, women can do, and whatever women can do, men can do, right? They don't necessarily cross that divide and we treat the things that would be permitted or not for a man and women separately. Esvei Abaye. Now Abaye asks a kasha on Ula. He says, 1 second. Hamotzei tefillin machnisan zug zug. So, I hear Bobo. Yes, I definitely hear Bobo. Okay, well, gotta focus. Anyways, Esvei Abaye. So says Abaye. So Abaye asks the kasha. Hamotzei tefillin machnisan zug zug. So somebody who finds tefillin on Shabbos, right? So somebody who finds tefillin on Shabbos, so he could bring them into so he's in like, I don't know, Rosh Hashanah or something like that. He finds tefillin somewhere. Finds a bunch of pairs of tefillin, maybe like 10 pairs of tefillin, okay? So he could, what can he do? He could put on one pair of tefillin, wrap them on himself, go into the city, take them off, go out and retrieve the next one, and like that he could bring in all of the tefillin, okay? Echad ha'ish ve'echad ha'isha. Now, not only can men put on the tefillin and go into the city, but men and women, right? So if you have a man and a woman, they find these tefillin, so they could both put them on and go into the city. Now, there's a note here that adds Divrei Rabbi Meir. I don't know, add it if you want or not, but it is going to make sense in a minute. Now, now, if what Ula is saying is correct, that women are an am b'fnei atzman, and therefore, you can't necessarily just simply apply the halachos of men to women. What would be permitted for men wouldn't necessarily be permitted for women. Well then, v'mitzvah saseh she'azman gramahu. Well, tefillin is a mitzvah saseh she'azman grama, right? Assuming that you can only wear tefillin, let's say, during the day and not at night, or not on Shabbos. V'chol mitzvah saseh she'azman grama nashim p'turos. And we know that, right, we learned in brachos, that any time-bound mitzvos, so women are p'turos from those mitzvos. So, if that's the case, we're saying that men and women can put on these tefillin and bring them into the city. Well, 1 second. Men have a chiyuv to wear the tefillin. Women are p'turos from wearing the tefillin. And yet we're saying that since the men can put on the tefillin and bring them into the city, so can the women. So if Ula is correct that nashim am b'fnei atzman hein, then we shouldn't be able to say that since the men can put on the tefillin and bring them into the city, well then the women should be able to put them on. So the Gemara answers, no, that's not a good rationale. Hasam kosav Rabbi Meir. The reason why Rabbi Meir says over there that both men and women would be able to put on the tefillin and bring them into the city is because Rabbi Meir holds Laila Zman Tefillin V'Shabbos Zman Tefillin. That Rabbi Meir's opinion is that tefillin is not a mitzvah saseh shezman grama. Rabbi Meir's opinion is that you can put on tefillin at any time, during the day, during the night, on Shabbos, whenever. So therefore, havale mitzvah saseh shelo azman grama, v'chol mitzvah saseh shelo azman grama nashim chayavos. And therefore, tefillin would be a mitzvah saseh that is not time-bound. Okay? And any mitzvah saseh that is not time-bound, that doesn't have a specific time to do it, well then men and women equally have the chiyuv to do it. And that is why Rabbi Meir says that if you find these tefillin in Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos, you'd be able to simply put them on and then bring them into the city, men and women equally. Okay, fine. Great. So that's Ula's opinion that nashim am b'fnei atzman hein, and therefore we wouldn't necessarily be able to apply the halachos of men to women regarding hotzah, and also vice versa, whatever would be permitted for women, we wouldn't say are necessarily permitted for men. Now, the Gemara asks the question, we're saying that, let's say a woman would not be allowed to go out with a ring that has a seal on it. And if she does, she's chayeves to bring a korban chatas. The Gemara wants to know, why would she be chayeves to bring a korban chatas? After all, the way to do hotzah, and this came up, I think, on already Daf Yudaladam and Beis or something like that. I think we saw this, that in order to be chayev for hotzah, you would have to do it, the derech hotzah, the normal way to take something out. What's the normal way to take something out? By carrying it in your hand, okay? Here she's not carrying it in her hand, she's putting it on her finger, so therefore it's not the normal way to carry something. The normal way to carry something would be if she would take this ring, I guess, hold it in her hand and bring it outside. But here she's putting it on her finger. So, maximum it should be Hotza Kilachar Yad, sort of not a normal way of Hotza, and she shouldn't be Chayeves to bring Korban Chatas. Fine, maybe it's also Midirabanan, but it should no longer be an Isser D'Oraisa if she's doing a Kilachar Yad. So Amr Rabbi Yirmiyah Bi'isha Gizbaris Askinan. So Rabbi Yirmiyah says, well, we're talking about a woman who is a treasurer, right? A woman who's the head of, she's the head of a treasury, I guess, right? What the heck just fell? Something fell. I don't know what it is, but it fell. Anyways, we're talking about a woman who's the head of the treasury, and therefore she often needs to go out with this ring on her finger in order to go and seal things. And therefore, for her, it's considered kedarka. It would be considered a normal way for her to carry, and that's why she would be chayev esachatas. Amar Rava, it says here Rava, but there's a different girsa that says Rava. Let's go with Rava, because it'll make sense, I think, with the next line. Amar Rava, Taratz the Isha, Ishma Ikan. So Rava says, okay, fine. So that answer is for the woman. Okay, I understand why a woman, if she goes out with a ring that has a seal on it, she would be chayev esachatas, because it's a woman who is a treasurer. Great. If a man goes out with a ring that doesn't have a seal on it, why would he be chayav a korban chatas? He's not taking it out the normal way. So Ella Amar Rava, rather Rava answers like this for men and for women. Paimim sha'adam nosein leishto tabas sheisha le'achosim lolicha lekufsa umanichasa biyada ad shemagas lekufsa. Look, sometimes a man will take his ring that has a seal on it and will give it to his wife to put away in the safe, and while she's walking to the safe, she'll put it on her finger. And therefore, it is also considered kedarka for a woman to wear a ring with a seal on her finger sometimes. And therefore, if she would go out with it to Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos, since it's not a tachshit for her, it's a masui, and on her finger is considered kedarka, so therefore she would be chayavis a korban chatas. Ufayim she'aisha nosenes levaila tabas she'ena le'achosam lo'olicha etzel uman lesaken umanicha biyado ad shemagia etzel uman. And sometimes a woman will give her husband a ring that doesn't have a seal on it, just one of her regular rings, to bring to the jeweler to fix it. And he'll put it on his ring while he's walking, on his finger while he's walking to the jeweler. So therefore it's considered, a normal way for a man to wear a regular, if he's going to wear a regular ring, and he would put it on his finger, therefore it's considered kedarko, but it would not be considered a tachshit for him, since he wouldn't normally wear a ring without a seal. That's why he would be chayev a korban chatas if he goes out with a ring without a seal. V'lo b'choliar, v'lo b'choveles. So the Mishnah said that a woman should not go out with a koliar or with a koveles. So my koliar, what is this koliar? So Amarav machbanta. So Rav says it's a machbanta. That is some kind of something that would keep her shirt closed. Okay, I guess you would have the neck of her shirt, and then there would be some kind of, something that would keep her shirt closed, so she shouldn't go out with that, I guess. Why shouldn't you go out with that? Well, I guess you would want to keep her shirt closed, but maybe I guess you would put some kind of shirt on top of that or something. Alright. Or maybe the specific kind of thing would not be allowed, but there are other ways to close the shirt maybe. Or maybe you should just wear shirts that aren't open like that around the neck. Okay. Amarav, so koveles, what is a koveles? Amarav chomarte defilon. V'chein amaravasi chomarte defilon. So Rav says that this is like some kind of almost like what were those things called? Those amulets that they had that you would put parchments and stuff. So this was some kind of an amulet that was filled with balsam spice. And so don't go out with this amulet on Shabbos. Okay. Taner Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, lo seitze b'choveles. Okay, a woman should not go out with this koveles, with this amulet filled with balsam spice. V'myatzasa chayeves chatas, and if she does go out with it, then she's chayeves a korban chatas. Divrei Rabbi Meir. V'chachamim omrim lo seitze myatzasa p'tura. The chachamim say don't go out with the koveles, and if you do, and if she does, then she's p'tura, meaning she shouldn't do it. But it's pater aval aser. She doesn't have to bring a korban chatas. Rabbi Eliezer Omer says, Rabbi Eliezer yotza isha b'choveles l'chatchila. Oh, Rabbi Eliezer says that she's allowed to go out with this koveles 100% l'chatchila. Okay. And what are they arguing about, right? So we saw this very similar machlokas when it came to that Ir Shel Zahav the other day, right? We had Rabbi Meir saying Chayev Korban Chatas, Chachamim say Pater Aval Aser, and Rabbi Eliezer saying Muter L'Chatchila, right? So, and it's going to be the same machlokas. What's machlokas between them? So Rabbi Meir Savar Masuihu. Rabbi Meir says, well, it's a burden, and if it's a burden, she can't go out with it, and if she does, she'll be Chayev as a Korban Chatas. Rabbanan Savar Tachshetu V'dil Mashalfu Mechavi V'Aser Le'Isuye. Whereas the Chacham say, look, Lemaisa, this amulet with spices in it, that's there for fragrance, not actually as an amulet, but it's just there for its smell, for its good smell. So it's a tachshit. And since it's a tachshit, so Mikar Adin, you can go out to Rosh Hashanah with it. However, we're concerned that she might take it off in order to show her friends and carry it 4 amos from Rosh Hashanah. Therefore we say don't do it. But if she does it, if she goes out with it, she's not chayav as a korban chatas. Rabbi Eliezer savar man darke lemirmei. Rabbi Eliezer says, look, who is normally going to go out with this koveles? Isha sherechara, a woman who doesn't smell very good. Isha sherechara lo shalfa umechavya v'lo asya le'asuye arba amos b'shus harabim. Look, if you have a woman who feels that she doesn't smell very good, and therefore she wants to put on this necklace that has these spices there, so that they will, she'll have this better smell. So she's going to go out with it. And therefore, Rabbi says, look, since there's a specific purpose why she's going out with it, and she might be a little self-conscious about it, she's not going to start going and showing people like, hey, look at this koveles that I'm wearing, so that you won't know that I smell bad. Like, this isn't something she's going to be proud of, and we're not concerned that she's going to take it off in order to show her friends. Okay. Now the Gemara asks, but 1 second, we have a brisa in which Rabbi Eliezer says that if a woman goes out with a koveles or this flask that has balsam oil in it, she's potter. So that sounds like Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is not that it's mutter lechatchila, but rather that Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is that it's potter aval aser, like the Chachamim. So Gemara says, lo kasha, no problem. Ha kikaya ad Rabbi Meir. Ha kikaya ad Rabbanan. When it says potter, it's when he's responding to Rabbi Meir, and we're going to explain in a minute. When he says mutter lechatchila, it's when he's responding to the Chacham. Kikaya ad Rabbi Meir, da amar chayev chatas, amar le potter. So when he's responding, and we're going to see in a minute what this brisa in which he's responding to Rabbi Meir is, but when he's responding to Rabbi Meir who says chayev chatas, so friends, who can tell me what's the opposite of chayev? The opposite of chayev is not mutter. The opposite of chayev is potter. And therefore, when Rabbi Meir said that if a woman goes out with a koveles or tzlochis shal plaiton, she's chayev esachatas. So Rabbi Eliezer responds and says, no, she's potter. Even though really it would be mutter, but he responded to Rabbi Meir who said chayev. He says, no, it's potter. Okay. But when he's responding to the Chachamim who said that, and they said that their opinion is Pater Aval Aser, Rabbi Eliezer then says, actually, my opinion is that it's really mutter. I don't agree with you that it's Pater. I actually hold that it's mutter. Well, my Rabbi Meir, what is this brisa in which Rabbi Meir said Pater, to which Rabbi Eliezer responded that it's Pater? Right there, I don't know what I just said, but Rabbi Meir said chayev a korban chatas, and Rabbi Eliezer responded potter. So my Rabbi Meir, Ditanya lo seitze isha b'mafteach shabiyada, a woman should not go out to Rosh Hashanah carrying a key. V'im yotzos chayev es chatas, and if she goes out to Rosh Hashanah wearing a key, carrying a key, so then she's chayev es a korban chatas. Div Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Eliezer poter b'kovelos u'v'tzlochas shel plaiton. Now Rabbi Eliezer says that she would be potter if she goes out wearing this koveles, this like amulet with spices in it, or this flask that has balsam oil in it. Now the Gemara says, 1 second. Rabbi Meir is talking about carrying a key, and Rabbi Eliezer responds by talking about like balsam oil and balsam root. Like, what's going on? Koveles man d'chashma. Who said anything about koveles? That Rabbi Eliezer is responding to Rabbi Meir's assertion about a key. Rabbi Eliezer is responding by talking about koveles. So actually, we're missing a few important words. This is really what it should say. And similarly, Bichoveles v'chein b'tzlochis shel Platon, and similarly with a flask of balsam oil, lo seitzei v'im yotzo chayeves chatas divrei Reb Meir. The Reb Meir says not only if she goes out with a key in her hand is she chayeves korban chatas, but even if she goes out with this amulet filled with balsam spice or with this flask filled with balsam oil, she would also be chayeves korban chatas. To which Rabbi Eliezer responds and he says, Poter b'choveles u'v'tzlochis shel Platon, that she would be ptura if she goes out with a amulet with spice with like balsam spice in it, or a flask with balsam oil in it. But when he says pater over there, what he really means is mutter. Just he's responding to Rabbi Meir's assertion of chayeves with saying ptura, because ptura is the opposite of chayeves. But really, what he means is that she is it's muteris. When does Rabbi Eliezer say that she would be allowed to go out with this amulet with balsam spice? When there's actually balsam spice in it. But if she's just going out with this amulet with nothing in it, she just has like a necklace with an amulet and there's no balsam spice in it, so then she would be chayeves, then it would be basically carrying this kli, this amulet case, and she would be chayeves for that. And even though maybe there's a smell in there, right? Maybe she had, put balsam spice in there before, and then she just now took it out, and the smell, the good, nice smell of the balsam lingered in the amulet. Nonetheless, she would still be chayeves for carrying on Shabbos, even according to Rabbi Eliezer. He says she would have to have the spices in there. Now, Amar Rav Ada bar Ahava, says Rav Ada bar Ahava, Zos Omeres, Hamotzi Ochlin Palchus Mikshir Bechli Chayev. So now Rav Ada bar Ahava wants to say, so we have a Mishnah on Daf Ayin Vav, and that Mishnah says that if you take a kli, and in that kli you put in pachos mikashir of, right, less than the size of a dried fig, right, less than that amount of food, so it's pachos mikashir of food, and you put it in a kli, you would be pater, you wouldn't be chayiv for taking that out on Shabbos, because there's less than a shear of the food, and the kli is batal to the food. And nobody seems to argue on that. However, Rav Ada bar Ahava wants to say that maybe from here we could say that Rabbi Eliezer would argue on that. Because over here, okay, we have this amulet thing. Now, there's no spice in it, right? But there's a smell, and a smell is something. It's pachos mikashir, it's something, and yet we're saying that you would nonetheless be chayav for carrying out this amulet on Shabbos with no spice in it, even though there's like a smell, which should be the equivalent of pachos mikashir, and we're saying that you're chayav for the kli, right? So therefore, let's say that Rabbi Eliezer would say that also if you take out food in some kind of a kli, and the food is less than a shear, you would nonetheless still be chayav for the kli, just like you're chayav for this amulet when it's empty over here. So Rav Ada bar Ahava, says Rav Ada bar Ahava, Zos Omeres, so this is saying, or it certainly sounds like it's saying, Hamotzi Ochlin Palchus Mikashir Bechli Chayev. The Rabbi Eliezer would hold that when you would take out a kli that has less than an amount of food, less than a dried fig's worth of food, that you would be chayiv nonetheless for carrying the kli. Because Rav Ada bar Ahava wants to argue that in this amulet, this kli that doesn't have any spice in it, should basically be the same as a kli that has less than a dried fig's worth of food in it. V'katani chayeves, and we're saying that she would be chayeves for taking out this empty amulet, even though there's pachos mikashir of this smell in there. So the same should be relevant to taking out less than a shear of food, and it would be, and Rabbi Eliezer would say that she would be chayeves for taking out the kli when there's less than a shear of food in there. Rav Ashi argues on Rav Ada bar Ahava, and he says, "Be'alma emelach pater." No, really, I will say that Rabbi Eliezer does not have any beef with that Stam Mishnah on Daf Ayin Vav. He would agree that if you have a kli that has less than a dried fig's worth of food in it, you would be pater for the kli, because the kli is batal to the food. So why does he say that over here you would be chayav for this amulet that doesn't have any spice but has a smell. Over here, you're chayiv for taking out the kli because there's nothing physical at all inside of the kli. You have a smell. A smell isn't physical, right? Therefore, you can be chayiv because all you're really taking out is a kli. However, when it comes to a kli that has a little bit of food in there, but that little bit of food is less than a dried fig's worth, well, the main thing there would be the food, and the food is less than a shear, so you would be potter, and the kli would be batel to the food. But here this isn't the case because there isn't actually anything physical. It's just a smell. So therefore you'd be chayav for taking out the kli. Okay. Oh, so this is a pasuk in Amos. So he's giving a shtickle musar to the Bnei Yisrael over there, and he's saying, I'm going to read the pasuk. Hashosim b'mizrukei yayin, they drink from these big geshmaka containers of wine. V'reish shmanim yimshachu, and they are using, they're anointing themselves with very, very high quality oils. V'lo nachlu al shever Yosef, and they're not even considering the fact that they're going to get in big trouble for this. So the Gemara says, that they are anointing themselves with like the best oils. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, said Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, Zeh Plaiton. What is this amazing oil that they would anoint? That is Plaiton oil. It was really good oil, this balsam oil. Namasav Rav Yosef. So now Rav Yosef asks a kasha on Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel. Again, we have multi-generations here, right? Rav Yehuda is a student of Shmuel. Rav Yosef is a student of Rav Yehuda. So now Rav Yosef asks a kasha on his Rebbe Rav Yehuda. Af al Plaiton gaz Rav Yehuda ben Bava v'lo hodulo. So now Rav Yosef quotes a brisa in which it says that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was one of the Asara Haruge Malchus. He was one of the 10 martyrs that were killed by the Romans. The Gemara in Sanhedrin on Daf, I think it's Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, describes that the Romans killed him while he was attempting to give smicha to Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and Rabbi Yossi and I think Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, and also I think there was a mandamar there that said also Rabbi Nechemia. Anyways, so Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava wanted to make a gzeira that as a result of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, we should no longer be able to use Plaiton, right, balsam oil. But they didn't agree with him, and they said that no, it's fine. You could still use balsam oil nowadays. Now, if we're going to explain that this pasuk of V'reish shmanim yimshachu is a reference to balsam oil, well then, amai lo hodulo. Why wouldn't the Chachamim have, admitted, had said to, like, why wouldn't they have agreed with Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava if it was such a good oil? So, Amar le Abaye says to Rav Yosef, well, uletaime chadichsev hashosim b'mizrukei yayin, but that same pasuk also says that they would drink out of these big containers of wine, these big, like, spoons, cups, measures of wine. Rabbi Amir Rabbi Asi, and Rabbi Amir Rabbi Asi, Chad Amar, one of them says Kinishkinin, Chad Amar Shemizarkin, Kososein Zelazeh. One of them explains that it's Kinishkinin. Kinishkinin is like, it comes up in Avodah Zarah as well, that, in Masechet Avodah Zarah, that it was like some kind of container that you like put wine in, and I think there were like 2 separate straws, and you would kind of like be able to drink out of it, I think. Yeah, it was like some kind of interesting kind of mechanism. Anyways, and the other one says that, I don't know, they would somehow play some kind of game, I guess, where they would take like cups and throw them to each other. Okay, hachinami de asir. So are we going to say that should also be asir, right? Meaning, according to Rav Yosef, right, his logic was that, well, anything in that pasuk that described the sort of gluttony of what the Bnei Yisrael were doing with these oils and these wines, it would make sense to say that they're asir now that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Yet, we define Hashosim b'mizrukei yayin as either these Kinishkinin or, this game where they would throw their cups to each other. But Rav Huna iklat leverej gelusa v'shasa b'kinishkinin v'lo amar le v'lo midi. But Rav Huna visited the Reish Gelusa, and they were drinking from this interesting container with the multiple straws, and they were drinking wine like that, and he didn't say anything, which must mean that even nowadays you're allowed to use these Kinishkinin, which means that just because the pasuk says that they were drinking from these Mizrukei Yayin, doesn't necessarily mean that it's asur nowadays, and therefore you could still define this Reish Shmani Mimshacha as referring to Plyton oil, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the Chacham had to agree with Rav Yehuda ben Bava to say that it would be asur nowadays. Ella, rather, when the Chachamim were like saying that certain things are not allowed nowadays as a result of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, those are things that have enjoyment as well as happiness. But these oils and these wines that have pleasure involved with them, but don't necessarily bring happiness, so they don't make a gezerah. Okay, fine, very cool. So also there in Amos, in describing sort of the gluttony of the Yidden over there, so it says that they would they would lie on ivory beds, and they would have their sheets kind of like spread out over their beds with like lots of, spread out over the sides, and I guess very fancy. But we're gonna explain sruchim as referring to like disgusting, like putrid. Okay. So I'm Rabbi Yossi Bab Chanina, says Rabbi Yossi Bab Chanina, Milamit shayu mashtinen mayim bifnei mitosein arumim. Ay ay ay. So Rabbi Yossi Bab Chanina says that they were peeing in front of their beds while they were naked. That's what they were doing. Megadif bar Rabbi Abou. Now Rabbi Abou strongly disagreed with Rabbi Yossi Bab Chanina's assertion. Yihachi, says Rabbi Abou, Hanu dichsev, is this what it says also in that same place in Amos? Lachen ata yiglu brosh golim, that now that's it. You are in big trouble. I'm going to exile you at the front of all the people being exiled. Mishum demashtinin mayim b'fnei mitosein arumim yiglu brosh golim, because they pee in front of their beds when they're naked. That's why they need to be, exiled. Elam Rabbi Abou, Elu b'nei Adam shayu ochlim v'shosim zeim zeh. No, what is this? Sruchim al arsosam. It's these people who were eating and drinking together. V'dovkin mitosein zo bazo, and they would connect their beds to each other. Umachlifin nishosein zeim zeh, and they would switch their wives with each other. They would like have orgies, and everyone's sleeping with each other's wives. And they were making their beds putrid with the seed of other people's seed, that isn't their own. So because of all this licentiousness, I think that's a word, that is why they got exiled. Not just because they were pissing in front of their beds. Amar Rabbi Abou, says Rabbi Abou, v'amrila b'masni satana. Some say it was lemaise in a brisa. There are three things that bring a person towards being poor. And these are them. Hamashtin mayim b'fnei mitaso arum, if somebody pees in front of his bed when he's naked. Umizalzal b'netilas yadayim, or he doesn't take washing his hands before he eats seriously. V'sha'ishta mekalato b'fanav, and somebody whose wife curses him in his presence. Oy. Somebody who pees in front of his bed when he's naked. That is only if he's facing his bed. But if he's facing the opposite direction, then it would be acceptable. And even if he is facing his bed, that's also only if he's peeing on the floor. But if he's peeing into some kind of a container, then it would be acceptable, and he won't become poor. Alright? Somebody who doesn't take washing his hands seriously. So that's only if he doesn't scrub his hands at all. If he just like splashes a little water on his hands, then maybe that's not good and he'll become poor. But if he scrubs his hand, does like a basic effort to clean his hands, so then he won't have to be poor. Right? But if he does like a rudimentary scrubbing, then it's okay, he won't be poor. Vilav Milsi. The Gemara says no, but that's not really true. The Amar of Chizda, because Rav Chizda said, Ana mashay milochafni mayev yavilu milochafni tivusa. Oh, Rav Chizda says that, I really scrubbed my hands like mamish, very, very good. I really scrubbed my hands real good. And guess what I got? I got really, really good stuff. Okay, so Rav Chizda, the Gemara Moed Katan says, describes that, at the end of Moed Katan, describes that Rav Chizda was a very wealthy man. So I guess maybe it's because the secret to his success was scrubbing his hands real good. In any event, so, meaning Rava made it sound like just scrubbing your hands a little bit, you'll be yotzes on. But Rav Chizda says, well, it's not just a matter of doing it a little bit to be yotze, but the more you scrub, the better life gets. Alright. But, okay, but this doesn't necessarily disqualify what Rava said. He's just saying it, it doesn't stop there. Sure, if you don't scrub your hands at all, then you won't have any good stuff and you'll just be stuck being poor. But if you scrub your hands a little bit, so you won't have to be poor, but if you scrub your hands a lot, then, you're set for life. And if somebody's wife curses him in front of him, he'll be poor. Okay, Rava says that is about her jewelry. That if she curses him in front of him, that he's not buying her jewelry, so then, right, that he doesn't want to buy her jewelry, so then he will be poor. But that's also only if he has the funds for it, he can afford it, but he's just not interested in buying her any jewelry. Okay. Darius Rava Brei Drav Eli. So now Rava Brei Drav Eli made the following drasha. What does the pasuk mean? Vayomer Hashem, that God said, Yan ki gavu bnos Tzion, that the girls of Zion were very tall. That they were walking with a very tall back, i.e. like very haughty, as if they owned the place. They were walking with their throats outstretched. That basically they would walk with their heads straight and out, their necks straight and outstretched, and because of that they would take very small steps, their heel to the toes of their other foot, so that the boys will see them. That they would fill their eyes with like makeup, and then they would signal to the boys that they should come over. Haloch v'tafof, and they were like floating. That they would walk, they would have like a tall girl standing right next to a short girl, so it would be ki'ilu, like the tall girl was like floating because of fancy trick. Uvaglein ta'akasna, and with their legs they would like, ta'akasna amar Rav Yitzchak diver bi'ami, that they would put myrrh and balsam in their shoes. They would walk in the markets of Jerusalem, and when they would find a cute boy, so boatos bekarka, they would kick their heels into the ground, matizos aleim, and the perfume would get, spray on these boys. Machnisos ben yetzer hara ke'eres bekaos, and then it would bring into these boys a yetzer hara like poison from the venom of a angry snake. Okay, my puranusayim, and what was their punishment for these fancy activities? Kedidarish Rabba Bar Ula, as Rabba Bar Ula explained, vayatachas bosem makyiyeh, that instead of perfume there will be disintegration or decay. Makom shoyim is basmos bo naisa nimakim, that where they would put on these perfumes would become decay. I don't know if that means like where on their bodies would get decay, or maybe like the geographic locations where they were doing these things would be decayed. Maybe it's their bodies. Maybe wherever on their body they would apply perfume that would decay. Doesn't sound fun. V'tachas chagura nikpa, and instead of a belt, there will be like breaking up. Makom shayu chaguros b'tziltzol, where they would, have like nice fancy belts, nice and nikafim, would somehow like become broken and bruised. V'sachas ma'ase miksha karcha, makom shayu miskashtos bo nice krachim, and where they would kind of like do their hair really nice, they would become bald. V'sachas psigil machgores sak. And in place of psigil, which we'll define in a second, they would have like sackcloth. So psachim amavin lide gila yiu l'machgores sak, that the entrances to their body, i.e. their private parts, which would bring them towards happiness, will be for sackcloth. Okay? Kisachas yofi, and this is instead of beauty. Amarava hanudamri inche chalufe shufra kiva. And Rava says this is what people say, that instead of beauty there are sores. V'sipach Hashem kod kod bnos Tzion. Amar Rabbi Yossi Rab Chanina Melamed Sheparcha ben Saras. Right, so when it says that God v'sipach, that God was sipach, the skulls, the heads of the daughters of Zion. So Rabbi Yossi Rab Chanina said that it teaches that they got saras on their heads. How come? Ksivacha v'sipach uchsivasam laseis v'lasapachas. It says over here sipach. It says by saras, seis and sapachas. That's how we know that they got saras on their heads. Ve'Hashem pashein yareh. That Hashem, their openings, He will yi'areh. So there's two ways to understand yi'areh. One is like to pour, like me'areh is like to pour something out of like a pitcher. And the other one is ya'ar, like a forest. So Rav Shmuel, Chad Amar Shenishbechu Kekiton. So one of them said that basically they had a lot of dam ziva, a lot of blood of ziva that would flow out like liquid flowing from a pitcher. And one of them said that they got a lot of pubic hair, like a forest. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, said Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, Anshe Yerushalayim Anshe Shachatz hayu. The men of Jerusalem were very, very inappropriate. Adam Omer lechavero, listen to this. A person in Jerusalem would say to his friend, Bamesa adta hayom, with what did you eat today? I.e., who'd you sleep with today? V'pas amelo, v'pas she'ena mela. With bread that was kneaded well or bread that wasn't kneaded well? I.e., did you sleep today with a virgin or did you sleep today with somebody who was not a virgin? Biyayin gordeli or biyayin chardeli? White wine or like dark wine? I.e., did you sleep, was it a white woman or a black woman? B'mesav racha or b'mesav katzer? Was she fat or was she thin? B'chaver tov b'chaver ra? Was she very good looking or was she bad looking? This is what they were saying. Amar Rav Chizda v'chulin znus, and Rav Chizda said, and all of it was znus, all of it was licentiousness, it was inappropriate, illicit relationships. That doesn't sound so geschmack, right? Amar Rachba, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, says Rachba, the name of Rabbi Yehuda, Atza Yerushalayim shel kinamun hayu. They had there used to be trees in Jerusalem, these cinnamon trees. Uv'shasha yu masikin meyan, and when they would burn these cinnamon trees, you'd be able to smell this burning cinnamon, which sounds like it was a very pleasant smell. You'd be able to smell it all throughout Israel. And once Jerusalem was destroyed, nignazu, these trees were hidden. And there's only left over a amount of, like a little bit of the bark that's the size of a barley, of a kernel of barley, and it can be found in the storage house of Tzimtzimai, the queen Tzimtzimai. Okay, interesting daf today. I'll do a quick review. It's hard to review kind of all these details of the Agadata, but at the beginning we started off with talking about the rings of the men and the women. Ula said that the opposite is true between men and women, that what's allowed for a man, let's say a ring with a seal, is not allowed for a woman. What's allowed with a woman, a ring without a seal would be allowed for a man. And basically Ula's position is nashim am b'fnei atzmon hein, that in terms of the halachos of carrying between what's allowed for a man and what's allowed for a woman, women would be considered am b'fnei atzman, their own nation, and therefore wouldn't simply apply the laws between one and the other. What else did we talk about? Okay, then we got into wearing packets of balsam, right? So Rabbi Meir said that you would be chai v'chatas. The Chacham said it's pater aval aser. And Rabbi Eliezer says it's mutter because he says that you're only wearing this perfume if you're concerned about body odor. And if you're concerned about body odor, this isn't something that you're going to show off. And then we got into all sorts of agadatas. About balsam oil and wine and how you can become poor and what was going on in Jerusalem with licentiousness. These were these agadatas. Sorry, it's a little hard to do like a proper recap on it's not a very structured page. But that was today's daf. I hope everybody enjoyed and have a great day. Bye.